So good morning. It is very November today. It's just after, well, it's not even sunrise yet. And I am going to walk Kyrie after having fed the horses breakfast. And I thought I'd take you along on this walk because it's really treacherous, and I don't want to try and take a horse for a walk. We've got exactly 1 degree, maybe half a degree above zero going on, and some light rain and lots of leftover snow, and it's just incredibly slippery wherever it's been packed, which is all the walkways and roadways. So I'm instead going to take you on my morning walk with Kyrie, and in the willows and in the slough, and have you accompany me as I attempt to wake up. So here we go. So I've been thinking more and writing more and generally trying to wrap my head around monsters and the imaginal space and basically the stories we tell ourselves, because I think it's important to acknowledge the limits of scientific truth and the limits of what we know for sure, and kind of gently explore the idea that there's an awful lot that we're filling in blanks, and we're making up, and we're not sure. For instance, well, I can see Kyrie now, but when we go for a walk in here, I'm just going to head into the slough, which has dried up, and so I'm enjoying exploring it. Like, you can see all the dead willows. It used to be, for about 10 years, we had a lot of water on our land, and this was all underwater, and then it dried up, and everything has died basically because it was too wet or it was too dry. And so it's an ecosystem that's in a little bit of flux. But right now it's something I can walk through, and so I'm enjoying exploring this particular part of our land. Anyway, what I was going to say is that when I'm walking here, hi Kyrie, you're stuck. I sometimes can see my dog, and sometimes I can't. There she goes. And when I can't see her, it doesn't mean she ceases to exist. I have object constancy, so I know she still exists and she's somewhere. I just can't see her. And I tend to make guesses as to what she's doing, where she is, how far she's gone, and so on. And, Kyrie's only lived with me for maybe 8 months now. And so I'm still getting to know her. She was so anxious when we got her that, it's taken a long time for her real personality to come out. And I think we're there now. I think this is who she is. And I'll see if I can, she's very camouflaged, but she's happily snuffling around in the reeds. Kyrie is very much the equivalent of a bookworm. She loves to just snuffle and catalog and follow her nose. And so my guess, when I can't see her, there she is that she is either happily scarfing down rabbit poop, which looks to her like kibble, or she's following her nose down a rabbit trail, literally. And I don't know. the thing is, I don't know for sure. As soon as she's out of sight, I don't know. She might be quite a ways away. There was one run I took with her in summer where, quite uncharacteristically, she just totally disappeared. And I called and I called and I called and I called. And I was getting really worried because I didn't know what the cause of this was. And finally texted home, and sure enough, yeah, she had just decided to go home, which meant crossing one gravel road. But she clearly knew her way home and had given up on finding me. She got out of sight. And so anyway, that was informative, because then I found out, oh, if she gets out of sight, she might not know where to go to find me, and she will go home. So that's helpful to know that she knows her way home. All to say that there are lots of things happening in a day that I am guessing at based on my knowledge of my animals, based on my knowledge of the geography and the events and what's going on and the context and what I've read in people's or animals' moods, or, are the horses in heat or whatever. And this obviously extends to the people in my life, because there's an awful lot we don't know about each other. And I wrote about SOAP notes, subjective, objective, assessment, and plan, and how that assessment piece is where the healthcare provider uses their ability to guess, to fill in whatever is missing from the information that they can gather. And, scientifically, we've really only got what we perceive, what we feel, what we sense through our senses, and what we think we're seeing. And that's a stretch already. And what we can see is happening around us. And I think that it's just really important to realize that does not cover it. Like, there's so much we're not seeing. There's so much even that we are perceiving in a edited or kind of skewed manner based on what we want to see and what we want to ignore. And I mean, all of you who are watching, you are denying parts of yourself at any given time and aggressively trying to not pay attention to things that disagree with your vision or your image of what is real. And I'm thinking about stories here, because stories are really instructive as to how we do this and what happens when we get it wrong, or when I guess the thing that I'm wanting to talk about is how there's reality. And I mean, we can argue about the nature of reality all day and all night, and that's philosophy, but there is reality. Let's just say reality exists. I am walking on the earth and I am real. There's reality, and then there is this imaginal space. And this is the space where we fill in the gaps as to what we don't know about reality. And so this is where stories come in. And, this is why I think the Matrix trilogy resonated with so many people, is it was a really engaging play on the nature of what is real. And if you believe that something is real, you can be fooled by your senses. And so reality is not necessarily what we think it is. And that's a chilling thought. Also, that there are ways to produce mass delusions. And, delusions are fixed false beliefs. So they are fixed in that they are defended by the person holding them against evidence. So evidence to the contrary is discarded because the story in this case is more compelling and feels more true than the data coming in from the world around. And that's a very dangerous situation. And I mean, we lock people up who are caught in delusions, but a lot of us are carrying them in many instances, and that is not a judgment. That's the fact of how much we don't know and can never know. Like, I can never know what anyone else is really thinking. All I've got is to ask them. They can tell me, and that's all I've got. I can't know for sure. I can see their behavior. I can think about patterns. I can, use a lot of data from experience and from other people's interactions with that person. And I can come up with a pretty good guess. And that's in the imaginal space. That is me making stuff up. And probably I'm right. In any case, I need to do that because I need to come up with a decision as to what to do in response to somebody's actions towards me. And so all I've got is, whatever I can deduce, subjective, objective assessment plan. And so I think The Matrix was very, I loved that trilogy. I loved the whole philosophical thrust of it, but it's in all sorts of other stories too. Like, I think of Galadriel's pool in Lord of the Rings and how it was a way to look into a reflective surface that then took you into what could happen and what might happen and the possibilities, the chaos that ensues or precedes our choices. And I mean, there's a lot of reflective surfaces in fantasy literature or fairy tales or any of those stories that are meant to really display truth in a surreal way. It's not a science-y story. It's a fantasy story. It's all about that space between what I think I know, what you're telling me, what my senses are giving me, and there's more. And I'd really recommend looking at Tim Mackey's Bible Project videos, and the one on Genesis 1 does a really good job of going through that creation poem as very richly layered and very much telling us a lot of stuff that is not in the realm of science. It is in the realm of the nature of it all, and especially the relationship of God and humans. And that is, the question that I believe that religion, faith, belief systems, any interaction with God, we're trying to figure that out. What are the big questions, like, why are we here, and what is the meaning of it, and is there a point, and am I worth anything, and what's going on here, where will it end, how did it begin, all of that. And science can tell us the age of our Earth, the age of fossils. Science can tell us, even how far away stars are. There's so much science is able to increasingly illuminate, but it's still there's still this vast unknowable space in between that we are filling up with stories. And yes, that's where monsters appear, because our stories can be so skewed, and so we can start to cling to the story even when it's clear that the story is not actually bridging the gaps between outer reality and our inner experience. And that is where we get into delusional thinking, and it's very sad. And I just wanted to put that out there as a thought for the day, because I'm really wanting to correctly categorize my own image of myself, which is squarely in the imaginal space, right? Like most of us, I'm gonna guess, and here I am just guessing, that most of us came up with an image of ourselves somewhere around high school. And that's a terrible time to come up with an image of yourself, because you're so in flux, and you're so dependent, and you're so yanked around by your friends. But that's when we start to think of ourselves as independent people in the world, in the social world, and start to create plans and dreams, and start to think what we're capable of. And so that image of myself was crafted then without a lot of awareness that I was making it up. I thought it was real. And so because I thought it was real, I've clung to it as reality, when in fact it's a story. It can be changed. Reality is always going to win. If you put a story up against reality, eventually reality will win. It might take a little while for the effects to be really clear, but you're not going to change reality with a story, no matter how hard you try. And so thinking of your own self-image, it's a nice example, and it keeps it away from other people, which is always good. And so I am kind of examining the stories I tell myself about myself, and what I am like, what are my limits, what are my parameters, who I could be, and who I am in relation to other people, and realizing that is in an imaginal realm. It's in a very fluid, watery, reflective pool of Galadriel's realm, gives me more leeway to play with it. Nothing is hurt if I change my self-image in that space and then check it against reality, rather than the reverse, like trying to play with reality and then make reality fit my story. And I think there's a lot of examples that come to mind, which I won't go into here, because this is now a 20-minute walk. But I just wanted to put that out there. I hope you enjoyed the the very starkly November beautiful slough. And now I need to go and find my dog, who is disappeared, and I will see where she really is. So happy Wednesday.